Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, a little bit of television, lots of good stuff on streaming, maybe a pinch of sports here and there. Anyway, it's good as always to have you guys here. It is Friday, and I'm flying solo today. There wasn't a lot of news topics last night when Rob and I were trying to decide if he was going to be on the show today, so we decided that today I was going to fly solo. Don't worry, Robert Meyer Burnett will be back on Monday, but it's good to have you guys here, as there's not a lot of news, but there's some pretty interesting stuff going on, and we're going to talk about that here today. Guys, listen, before we get into anything else, just want to remind you, if you haven't done so already, why don't you take a second and click on that subscribe button, become a subscriber to the John Campea YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on all the stuff that we got going on here, and here's how we do this show, guys. The first half of the show, we've got a couple of topics lined up that we're going to discuss, and then we're going to get into the second half of the show. Now, in the second half of the show, you can get a live comment or question on the show simply by using that tip link that's at the very top of the description of this video, or you can just enter it in manually at streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question on the show if it's reasonable. And of course, you'll be supporting the show at the same time. So listen, guys, let's get into our main topics today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics? Well, it's easy. You guys come up with them, because whenever you come across a big story or piece of news you think we should be discussing here, simply go on over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. Hit submit. It's totally free. And then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. Now, before we get into anything else, some people are saying that the audio is off. So I'm just going to double check something here. They're saying the audio's fine, but let me just check here to see what we got going on here with the audio. I want to make sure everything's good. They're saying the audio's fine, but let me just check here to see what we got going on here with the audio. I want to make sure everything's good. Everything sounds okay on my end, guys. Some people are saying it's just a little bit loud. Let me see if I can adjust that a little bit. I'll bring that down a little bit. Some people are saying it's just a little bit loud. But generally speaking, the audio seems to be doing all right. But we'll bring it down just a touch anyway, just to make sure it's a little easier for people. Okay, with that down, guys, let's get on to main topic number one, shall we? And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Michelle Espinoza, who writes, okay, now I'm confused. It's been almost a month that pretty much everyone, including the screenwriter and Mark Ruffalo, was congratulating Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk, but now apparently she herself has debunked that casting. Just like you always say, I checked the sources and surprise, it came from comicbook.com, but they were not the originating source. They were citing a British outlet in which she was giving an interview and pretty much denying her casting. Seriously, did we all just tag along this rumor as a fact without confirmation that even Mark Ruffalo believed it? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yes, kind of a big deal here. This is kind of a big deal. If you guys remember, about a month or so ago, we had Tatiana Maslany, good Canadian girl, who got confirmed that she was going to be playing She-Hulk. Or it got confirmed, Deadline reported that she was going to be playing She-Hulk. All right. That went out there, made its way across the news stuff. Mark Ruffalo got online to congratulate her. The screenwriter got on to congratulate her, all that kind of stuff. Now there's a story going around saying that she is denied that she's playing She-Hulk, which is interesting. Here's where this comes from. It comes from a Canadian newspaper, all right, called the Sudbury Star. The Sudbury Star, which is Sudbury is a small, small town in kind of northern Ontario. It's a beautiful place, actually. Sudbury Star, where basically Tatiana was there as a judge and a jurist for a special film festival sort of thing. And reportedly, this is what she said. She said when she was asked about being She-Hulk, she said, that actually isn't a real thing. And it's like a press release that's gotten out of hand. It's totally not. I've been connected to these things in the past and press has gotten into it, but it's not actually a thing, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know how these things get. I don't know. I don't know. You know better. I have no idea. So that is Tatiana's response to the reports that she herself was going to be playing She-Hulk. All right. This is an interesting situation. And it brings up a couple of possibilities. There are a couple of possibilities here about what could be going on. Number one, the news is inaccurate. It could very well be that this small little newspaper in a small town in Canada misquoted somebody or got the wrong person or something along those lines. This could absolutely be just a wrong information. It's not likely that it's straight up wrong information, but it is possible that it's incorrect information. That's a possibility that we have to consider. Possibility number two is that the story has always been wrong. That the story has just always been wrong. That she was never going to be playing She-Hulk. That somehow, some way, Deadline, with all of its contacts and all of its industry, experience and all of their influence and everything, that Deadline, I believe it was Deadline that broke the story first, that Deadline simply got the news wrong. That's a possibility. Possibility number one is that the Sudbury story is just incorrect. Possibility number two, that Deadline was wrong when they initially reported it. That's the second possibility. There's a third possibility here that we have to look at, which is it was true and now it's not true. What do I mean by that? Well, it seems extremely unlikely to me that Deadline, not Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart website, Deadline, that Deadline got this story so unbelievably wrong. And then after getting the story so unbelievably wrong, weeks passed with other outlets reaching out to her representation and other stories, other outlets verifying it, and even co-stars in the MCU getting online and congratulating her on the casting. And for 4 weeks, never said a thing. Never said a thing. It strikes me that if you're going to deny that you're playing She-Hulk when you actually are playing She-Hulk, you would come out and say that pretty much quickly, right? Like when Mark Ruffalo gets out to congratulate you for playing She-Hulk, if it's not true, that's a good time to say, thanks, but I haven't heard anything, right? So that seems incredibly unlikely. And to finally break the news that you're not playing She-Hulk casually to some small little newspaper, no disrespect to the Sudbury newspaper, but that you'd finally break the story to some small little Sudbury Star newspaper just casually off the cuff. Oh, yeah, no, that wasn't true. Really? Because nobody else has reached out to you or your representatives in 4 weeks for comment or confirmation. So what I think the third possibility here is this, is that the Deadline story was absolutely right, but that the negotiations failed. That Marvel decided she was the one they wanted to play She-Hulk. She was the one they wanted to play She-Hulk. She wanted to play She-Hulk, and so then they enter into negotiations to hammer out the deals of a contract. The third possibility is that she was going to play She-Hulk. She had entered into negotiations, now the negotiations have failed, and that's why she's saying this now. That, oh, no, it wasn't true. There's that. Possibility number one, Sudbury Star got the story wrong. Possibility number two, Deadline got the story wrong. Possibility number three, which is more likely, it was true and the negotiations have probably failed, and now she's saying, no, she was never going to be She-Hulk. That seems unlikely given the past 4 weeks. Whatever. There is a fourth possibility. Possibility number four here is the possibility that she's just playing with everybody. I'm not saying that's likely. I'm just saying that is a possibility one has to consider. You know, we now live in an age where the directors and movie stars will sometimes give out false information to deflect, although it seems weird to try to deflect it after Mark Ruffalo comes out publicly and kind of confirms it. So that's weird. So there are 4 possibilities here. Possibility number 1, the story, Sudbury just made an error. Maybe it wasn't her that said that, whatever. So Sudbury Star made a mistake. Possibility number 2, Deadline made a mistake. Possibility number 3, it was true and now is no longer true, and so she's just denying. Possibility number 4, she's just playing. Those are the only 4 possibilities on the table. What I believe, and what you believe, is not always the same as what is true, right? There are 2 different things. What you believe to be true and what you know to be true. I don't know what is true here. What I believe to be true here is that Tatiana is playing around. I believe she is She-Hulk. To me, it's either option 3 or 4. It either was true, because Deadline doesn't just, drop the ball on stuff like that blatantly, and then have Mark Ruffalo and others in Marvel get online and congratulate. That just doesn't happen. So it's either option number 3, that it was true and now is no longer true, or possibility number 4, that she's just playing with us and she is indeed going to be She-Hulk. I don't believe Sudbury Star just flat out made a mistake that bad. I don't believe Deadline got it wrong. So that's kind of what I believe right now. Now, look, I hope this is true. I hope it's true that she is playing She-Hulk, because she's a award caliber actress. She's a good Canadian kid. She's great for the role. I'd love to see her in it. If it's not her, then it'll be another actress who is also awesome. So that's fine. It doesn't matter. I believe she will be our She-Hulk, but it's possible she won't be. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? What do you think about her denial that she's going to be this character? Do you believe it? Do you not? Jump down into the comments section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's now move on to main topic number 2, shall we? And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Owen Doyle, who writes, "Hey, John. So I'm sure you know there has been this huge rumor going around that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are returning to each play Spider-Man in Tom Holland's Spider-Man 3. But Entertainment Tonight is now reporting that a Sony rep has debunked those rumors, saying it isn't true. I guess this is why we don't listen to rumors. How do you think this got started?" All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, for those of you who are not aware, and I'm sure most of you have been, a rumor started floating around about 4 or 5 days ago. It was a report that first got put out there by a site called Fandom Wire. And what Fandom Wire reported was that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, it was locked. They were now in negotiations to appear in Spider-Man 3. If that was true, then that means it's a done deal, because if the script has the 2 new other Spider-Men in the movie, then it's just a foregone conclusion they're going to be in it. You don't write them into the movie and then suddenly don't have them in. So that was the rumor going around. And a bunch of other places picked up on that and moved forward. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. Just 1 week earlier, this outlet Fandom Wire also reported that Wonder Woman 84, that Warner Brothers was going to put Wonder Woman 84 out on streaming on December 25th instead of theatrical, or alongside theatrical, something like that. And immediately Warner Brothers and Patty Jenkins came out and debunked that, said, nope, no chance, no way, no how that that's true. So just a week early, I'm not saying that means that Fandom Wire was wrong about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I'm just saying you have to keep in mind that just 1 week earlier, they broke this big scoop that everybody started running with, and then it was immediately shot down. So that started going around. Now, here's what happened. Entertainment Tonight is now claiming that, no, it's not true. At least they're sort of saying that, no, it's not true. A number of outlets started to pick up on the fact and saying that Sony has debunked this rumor, that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are going to be in there. And they have, sort of. Anyway, let's go to the key part of this thing here, where they're talking about it. This is the key part of the story. So we'll just go at it from here. This week, rumors circulated online that Maguire and Garfield were either in talks or already locked in to play their respective Peter Parker characters in Sony and Marvel's Spider-Man 3. However, in a statement to Entertainment Tonight Canada, a representative of Sony Pictures said those rumored castings are not confirmed. Studios don't always comment on casting rumors, but in this case, Sony has debunked the currently circulating rumors about Maguire and Garfield. All right. So there it is. There it is, right? Done. Complete. Finished. Sony has come out and debunked this ridiculous rumor going around that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are going to be in Spider-Man 3. It's done now. It's done. Can we put this whole stupid thing to bed? Clearly, Sony has just said they're not going to be in it. But did they? Did they really? I mean, look, I don't... We as movie fans have an irrepressibly annoying habit of trying to play semantics like crazy. Like somebody says something and then we as film fans, and I include myself in this, we dissect the wording to try to make it say what we want it to say and blah, blah, blah. We as film fans do that. So I hesitate to get into that game. But I feel like we need to just a little bit. What did the Sony rep actually say to Entertainment Tonight? Those rumors, let's highlight this. Those casting rumors are not confirmed. Again, I don't want to pick and choose your semantics, but the reality is he didn't say those rumors aren't true. He didn't say these rumors are incorrect. He didn't say it is false that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are appearing in Spider-Man 3. He said what we already knew, that those rumors are not confirmed. Because it's not confirmed until Sony says it's true. It's not confirmed until Sony says it's true. And so for him coming out to say to Entertainment Tonight, those rumored castings are not confirmed, is, to quote the great Perry White in Man of Steel, in other news, water wet. Or in Batman vs. Superman, I should say, water wet. We already knew that those rumors were not confirmed. What we want to know, Mr. Sony rep, is it true? Can you confirm it? It's not confirmed. Okay, so it very well could be true. Again, on face value, let me be very, very clear here. On face value, what the Sony rep is saying is that these rumors, they're just that. They're just rumors. We can ignore them on face value. But I think the devil's in the details a little bit. And really all he said is that right now they're not confirmed. And it's true. They're not confirmed right now. Sony has not, as of yet, come out and said this is what's happening. He didn't say we won't be confirming it. Now, look, here's the thing. A couple of months ago, just a few months ago, my brothers and sisters in film fandom, I would have said that we do not live in a world where Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to be in another Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland. Just 2 months ago, I would say to you that that's a cool idea for a YouTube video, but it's kind of silly. It doesn't make any sense. And it's just nonsensical. We don't live in a world where Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are going to be in a Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland. We simply do not live in that world. Just a couple of months ago, or a little bit less, I would have told you we do not live in that world. However, as I've also been quick to point out, I also would have told you not that long ago, and you would have too, that we do not live in a world where Ben Affleck is going to come back to play Batman again. Right? Not that long ago, I would have told you, as we all knew, that we do not live in a world where Ben Affleck will come back to play Batman again. And yet, here we are. We live in a world. I don't know if you want to go up to a mirror and kind of smack yourself in the face a little bit, but guess what? We live in a world where Ben Affleck, however small or a cameo or whatever, doesn't matter. Ben Affleck is coming back to play Bruce Wayne again. Maybe it'll be a tiny little cameo, maybe a little bit, who knows, doesn't matter, irrelevant. We live in a world that we didn't think we lived in, where Ben Affleck is coming back to play Batman again. I mean, that's great. It wasn't that long ago, my brothers and sisters in film fandom. It was not that long ago that we would have told each other we do not live in a world where Jamie Foxx is ever going to be playing Electro again. We do not live in that world, we would have all said not that long ago. This world that we live in of flesh and bone and earth and sky is not a world where Jamie Foxx is ever going to be playing Electro again. That world does not exist. We do not live in that world. And yet, as we wake up in the morning and rub our eyes and look to the sky, we realize, brothers and sisters, we live in a world where Jamie Foxx, inexplicably, is going to be playing Electro again. That is the world we live in. Again, go to the mirror, smack yourself, throw some cold water in your face, and come to the realization that is the world we live in. Do you take the red pill or the blue pill? Houses falling out of the sky, witches flying across the sky, cats and dogs living together. This is the world we live in. We live in a world where Ben Affleck is back as Batman. We live in a world where Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro. And I propose to you, my brothers and sisters, in that world with Ben Affleck and Jamie Foxx, is it so hard to believe in that world that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire would come back to play Spider-Man again with Tom Holland? In the world without Ben Affleck playing Batman again, that we lived in just a little while ago, in that world where Jamie Foxx is not coming back to play Electro, which was the world we lived in a little while ago, yes, in that world, it was preposterous. Preposterous to think that we would be getting we could get a Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Preposterous. But we don't live in that world anymore. We ain't in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. We ain't in Kansas anymore. We are now in a world where we see Kevin Conroy appearing as Batman in a CW crossover. We live in a world where Tom Ellis as Lucifer is popping up. We live in a world where Ezra, the woman choker Miller, appears in the Flash TV show as the movie version of the Flash. We live in that world that Ben Affleck's coming back. We live in that world that Jamie Foxx is coming back to play Electro. In this world, is it so hard to believe that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are coming back to play Spider-Man again? And I would propose that in this world, this crazy upside down, dare I say, we're living in the upside down. In this world, it's not that crazy to believe that they could be doing that. Now, I also want to be careful to point out that just because we live in a world where that could be the case, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is what's happening. Like, I'll be honest with you, I still have my doubts. I still have significant doubts that there's truth to this. I still have significant doubts. And now, doubts barring, Tobey or Andrew pop up in a cameo like Stan Lee would pop up in cameos and stuff. That's a totally different story. All that stuff's always possible, no matter what. So I'm not talking about quick little, hey, look, the newspaper stand guy is Andrew Garfield, and look, the waiter bringing Tom Holland and Zendaya, bringing them their drinks, is Tobey Maguire. I'm not talking about little Stan Lee type of cameos. We all know that's always possible. But I'm talking about actually back in the Spider-Man costumes. I have my doubts and I have my reservations. But having doubts and having reservations is a far cry from that other world we lived in not long ago, where I would have thought it was preposterous to believe that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, preposterous. Like completely unthinkable, completely unbelievable, completely preposterous, to today where it's just, well, I have my doubts, and I do. I have my doubts that this is true, but you can't deny. Because listen, I'll tell you straight up. I find it, let's say neither were true right now. If neither were true right now, I would tell you that I personally believe that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming back for Spider-Man 3 is more believable than Jamie Foxx coming back as Electro. Like if we had heard no news about either of these things and none of these things, forget everything we've heard about either of those stories for the last couple of weeks. Take that all away. If you were just to come to me cold right now and say, which is more believable to you, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back in Spider-Man or Jamie Foxx as Electro? I would say, well, I mean, Maguire and Garfield is far more likely. And yet here we are. Fox is back as Electro. So I have my doubts. If I had to bet $5 on it, I would bet it's not happening. But I wouldn't bet $10 because it is far more feasible today to be real than it ever was. And to me, the only thing to me that this story about the Sony rep talking to Entertainment Tonight and saying it's debunked the story, the only thing this really told me was that as of right now, Sony is not saying it's true. As of right now. Maybe they could. Maybe they won't. Not sure. You can't be so naive. Here's the thing. You can't be so naive to believe every one of these bullshit rumors that gets floated out there by all these websites all the time. 99 times out of the 100, it proves out to be totally fake and false, and we learn them pretty quickly. But every once in a while, you can't discount the fact that every once in a while, there's validity to them. And we live in a world right now where this completely ridiculous scenario is more believable than I ever would have thought possible. So, I don't know. I'm guessing it's not true, but I don't know. Now, listen, I wanted to put this to you guys. So I made this the focus of today's question of the day. And the question of the day today was really straight up simple. Question of the day today is this. And I put this up on the YouTube channel under the community tab just about a little bit before we started the show. And I asked you guys, question of the day. With rumors racing around and Sony apparently debunking them that Holland, Garfield, and Maguire will all appear in Spider-Man 3, what do you think will happen? Will all three appear in the movie? We discussed this and more. Right now, about 4,000 of you guys have voted. 50, it's close. It's way closer than I thought. 57% of you are saying, yes, you believe that all three of them will be in it. 43% of you are saying, nope, it's just another false internet rumor. And honestly, that's pretty much how I feel. I feel like it's really close. I give the slight edge to nope, it's going to be another false internet rumor, but only by a little bit. Because honestly, even in my own head, I think it's pretty close. I'm not going to fall out of my chair in shock if in 72 hours, Monday comes and Sony confirms that Garfield and Maguire are in it. I'm not going to fall out of my chair in shock. I'm also not going to be at all surprised if, Maguire comes out on Monday and say, hey guys, listen, I cherish my time as Spider-Man, but I can tell you honestly, there is no truth. I won't be surprised if he says that either. That's where I'm at. Seems like you guys are pretty split on this right now. So question is, what do you guys think about this? Do you think it is possible this could actually happen? Do you still have some reservations like me? Are you totally sold in on it like some others? Jump down into the comments section below and let me know your thoughts. Big, juicy, sexy story there going on. So yeah, jump down to the comments section below, guys, and let me know what you guys think about all that. All right, guys. With all that down and out of the way, let's now move on over and start taking your live comments and questions. You guys have been firing them in, so let's jump on over there and start seeing what you guys have to say about this stuff. Isaac the Film Geek writes, hey, John, love from North Korea. Thank you so much, Isaac. I know nothing is official, but if Sony was to confirm Tobey Maguire's return as Spider-Man, how would you react? Also, sponsor me, you sons of bitches. Zevia Cola, sponsor me. Let's go that way. You sons of bitches. Anyway, if they do come out, let's say in 72 hours, Sony comes out and announces it. what will my reaction be? At this point, still surprise, not shock, but still a bit of surprise that they'd be going in this direction. I'll tell you what else, though. You can quote me on this. You can absolutely 100% take it to the bank and quote me on this, okay? If this story that Fandom Wire broke is true, I'm going to tell you something right now that you can absolutely take to the bank. If it's true, remember back last summer at D23 when all that stuff was going on about how Sony and Disney were ending their partnership. Remember this? Sony and Disney announced that they were ending their partnership. And everybody at D23 was like, oh no. And even Tom Holland got on stage and said, guys, I've loved being Spider-Man. Oh, I loved it. And everybody's, oh no, boo-hoo. Tom Holland's not Spider-Man anymore. I was there. Remember that? I'm going to tell you this right now. If this rumor turns out to be true, that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming back, I'm going to tell you this right now. That was all bullshit. That was all faked. That was all, and I've mildly suspected this for a long time, that entire, oh, Sony and Marvel are breaking up, oh, the Spider-Man relationship's over. I have mildly suspected for a long time that was all fake bullshit. And if this comes to pass, I'm all in that whole thing was faked and fabricated just to generate tons of PR and tons of buzz and tons of outpouring and tons of support and blah, blah, blah. And listen, I even started to suspect this even more when once we saw Michael Keaton pop up in that Morbius trailer. It's like Sony and Marvel didn't just kind of put a Band-Aid on this wrecked relationship. Because listen, and I know I'm going off on this for a long time, but let me get this off my chest because I've been thinking this for the better part of a year. When they decided, or once we started to see the mural paintings of Spider-Man on the walls in the Morbius trailer, Michael Keaton showing up in the Morbius, and it looked like there was the possibility existed of a much deeper integration of the brands of Sony's Spider-Man with the MCU. And it just looks like they're taking that integration far deeper than we ever thought they really would. Like, come on, who doesn't believe that we're going to see Tom Holland pop up in a Venom movie or vice versa, right? And as soon as also they announced that Doctor Strange was going to appear in Spider-Man, it's like, you'd think they would be approaching the thing of starting to get ready to wean them apart because, the deal will be coming to its natural end and then everybody's happy and they go their separate ways and Sony does their Spider-Man. But instead they're going even deeper. And all this stuff is really leading, because I believe their PR BS for a long time. If you guys have watched my show for a while, you guys know I have believed the BS PR for a long time. I believe that. Oh yeah, okay, sounds good. They're going to continue on with their deal. They've added a couple of extra films to it, so they can gradually wean off and then have just Tom Holland off doing Spider-Man movies for Sony, and Marvel will go on without Spider-Man. Great, but it's starting to look more and more like the real plan all along was to take it far deeper. And I'm just saying, if this Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire thing turns out, I'm calling it. That entire charade they put on about, yes, us and Sony have ended our relationship back last summer. I'm calling it right now. That was all a farce. That was all fake. That was all completely PR orchestrated and executed. So that just a little while, because you know what made me first suspicious? This was the first time I got a little bit suspicious that the whole thing was fake. Just mildly suspicious. It didn't convince me, just made me a little bit suspicious. Do you remember that shortly after they announced, oh, we've made up, Sony and Marvel, ooh, we've made up, Spider-Man still in the MCU, at least for a couple more films, ooh. Shortly after that, they spun this thing about Bob Iger going, oh, Bob Iger, the High Lord Emperor over at Disney, saying, oh, what really changed my mind was I got this phone call from Tom Holland. Oh, and what he said to me moved me. It's like, listen, Bob Iger doesn't give a shit about actors. That's not his job. He's seen actors come and go. He's seen the biggest movie stars in the world come and go, right? Like cheesies, just going through the snack table of life. He's seen them. He doesn't give a shit. Like he makes business decisions on what's best for the company and the corporation. And we're supposed, oh, but I got a phone call from this actor who said, I really want to still be Spider-Man in the MCU. Oh, and it touched my heart, said Bob Iger. Touched my heart. Oh, so special. So special. Isn't that cute? Isn't it so special? That's the first time I looked at that and go, is anybody believing? Am I supposed to believe this shit that Bob Iger made probably a months-long calculated, decision about what was him and Alan Horn made this business? But I got a phone call from Tom Holland. Oh, it really touched my heart. Oh, I saw the light. I saw the light. I'm like, really? And anyway, I still didn't believe it was all fake, but that was the first thing that made me a little suspicious. Anyway, I'm just throwing out massive tinfoil hat conspiracy theories here now, but I'm just saying, if this turns out to be true, I'm going to be dubiously suspicious. Dubiously suspicious that whole thing was all bull. It was all faked. It was all scripted. It was all choreographed. It's like Undertaker and Brock Lesnar WrestleMania. It was all scripted all along. I don't know. We'll have to see. Again, propping out the tinfoil hat conspiracy theories here today, guys. All right, let's move on. Next up. We got 50 Shades of Geek who writes, the Doctor Who game I mentioned the other day is called Doctor Who: The Edge of Reality. Apparently, it features Jodie Whittaker and David Tennant, plus Daleks, Cybermen, and the Angels. Hopefully, Rob is there. Rob's not here, and got a chance to look it up. What do you think? No, Rob's not here, unfortunately. And again, I don't really follow Doctor Who at all. I don't know much about Doctor Who, to be honest with you. I still have not heard of the game, but you better believe Rob is into Doctor Who, and I'm sure he looked that up. And as soon as he has an opinion, I'm sure he'll share it with you here, 50 Shades. Thanks for following up. Carlos Sosa writes, hey, John, what are your predictions of The Mandalorian Season 2 or even the show beyond that? Where do you think they are going with this storyline? Can we possibly see Jedi this season? All right. I put up a tweet the other day that I swear to God, it's so frustrating. Okay, so I put up a tweet the other day about a number of things I now know. Remember I said there are certain things you believe to be true, but certain things you know to be true. And most of the time we talk about things we believe to be true, but we don't know. I put up a tweet the other day about certain things that I can't say how, but that I know to be true about the upcoming Mandalorian Season 2. And when I put up this tweet, I was extremely careful not to reveal any spoilers. In other words, I made sure that nothing in my tweets revealed plot details or story reveals. I put no plot details and I put no story reveals in any of the things that I listed, right? And yet, I still had people complaining that they considered it spoilers. And I'm like, if I told you, hey, I can confirm that Superman is not going to be in the next Star Trek movie, would you also consider that a spoiler? Anyway, but I will tell you guys a couple of things that I said that are not brain surgery. These are not wild things. You guys probably suspected these things all along already. I'll tell you two things that I know. So if you don't want to know anything, but remember, this is not a plot detail. This is not a story reveal, okay? This is more details, more logistics, really, more than anything else. Okay, so number one, Sasha Banks, who I predicted, and I said on this show several times that I fully believed that, well, maybe not fully believe, but I was in the camp. I counted myself as one of those people who believed that Sasha Banks was indeed going to be playing Sabine Wren. if you saw the end of Rebels, that makes sense because we know Ahsoka Tano is going to be in this season. So it would make sense that if Sasha Banks is there, that she very well could be playing Sabine. And so I predicted on the show that I thought she was playing Sabine. She's not playing Sabine. She's not playing Sabine. So there's that. The other thing, now there were a few other things that I said in that tweet, but the only other thing I will say is that, so while I was dead wrong about Sasha Banks being Sabine in Mandalorian Season 2, while I was dead wrong about that, I also did predict that I was willing to bet that Ahsoka Tano only shows up in one episode. And I can tell you Ahsoka Tano only shows up in one episode. Now, I believe it's episode 5. I have heard a couple of other people say it's episode 6. Regardless, what I can tell you is that she only shows up in one episode. So is that. I'm not going to tell you anything about what she's doing in it. Now, watch this. I'm gonna find out that she's in like the whole thing. The whole season, Mandalorian is actually Ahsoka and Sasha Banks' Sabine Wren running across the galaxy. But I can tell she's not Sabine Wren, and Ahsoka only shows up in one episode. So, but as far as what else they're going to do, I think it's just a continuation about where did we leave off. I mean, the trailer kind of tells us where this story's going, right? He's going to be looking for his people, searching for Jedi first, because he believes the Jedi will have a connection to the child's species. So he's going to be searching for Jedi. He's going to come across at least one, and then that's going to kind of be the follow through. So when we're also going to see several different story arcs going on. Pedro Pascal gave a really good interview to, I believe it was Vanity Fair the other day, talking about Mandalorian and stuff like that. So that's some of the things I think we can look forward to in season 2. Okay. Let's see. Next up, the Circle of Life rights. Top 5 Disney animated soundtracks. Number 1, The Lion King. Number 2, Aladdin. Ooh, yeah, that's 1 and 1A for sure. Number 3, The Jungle Book. Number 4, The Little Mermaid. Number 5, Beauty and the Beast. Oh, I might put Beauty and the Beast a little bit higher. I'd put Beauty and the Beast above Jungle Book and above Little Mermaid personally. But I know you're a fan of the Moana soundtrack, but do you have any other favorites? Yeah, I love the Moana soundtrack. And by the way, it's not just You're Welcome and what's the name of the main song Moana sings? There's a line where the sky meets the sea, it calls me, and no one knows how far it goes. But I don't know I can't remember what the actual name of the song is. I can sing the whole song, but I couldn't tell you the name of the song. Yeah, I love the soundtrack in that. But yeah, Lion King, Aladdin have got to be in the top 2. That's got to be in the top 2. But I think I'd put Beauty and the Beast right up there, right beside them as well. All right, Be Prepared writes, speaking of Disney soundtrack songs, on a similar note, is there a better Disney animated villain than Scar? Killed his brother, blamed his nephew while he was crying next to his body, ruined the Pride Lands, and still tried to guilt and kill his nephew years later. Plus, Jeremy Irons. Yeah, Scar's a great villain. I mean, there's no way around that. And by the way, contrary to popular opinion, I thought Chiwetel Ejiofor's Scar was fantastic in the live-action Lion King. It's different than Jeremy Irons, but yeah, that's original animated Scar is a fabulous, not just animated villain. That's a fabulous villain. Like, that's just overall a fabulous villain. But anyway, that being said, let's move on here. Russell Amador writes, hey, John, just looking forward to hopefully a movie-filled year in 2021 and finally getting our MCU fix with 4 films after that. What would be almost 2 years between MCU films with Black Widow. Out of the 4 coming out next year, what is your most anticipated? I'll be honest, I can't even remember which the 4 are. I mean, I know there's Black Widow. I know there's, or did Eternals get bumped to 2022? I've lost track of which movie comes out when. Listen, of all the MCU movies coming out, the one I am most excited for, and I can't remember if it comes out in 2021 or 2022 or whatever, but the one I'm most excited for is Thor: Love and Thunder. Number 1, because I just love the Thor character. Number 2, I loved Thor Ragnarok. And number 3, Taika Waititi coming off of Jojo Rabbit and directing Thor again. I'm so all in on that movie. It's crazy. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to seeing Black Widow. I'm excited about Eternals. I'm excited about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I'm excited for a lot of things, but the one out of all of them that really has my attention the most and that I'm most zeroed in on right now is absolutely Thor: Love and Thunder. All right, next up, Will Rivera writes, I know you don't like X-actor and X-role type discussions, but I'm currently binging Lucifer, and I thought, holy crap, Tom Ellis would make a great James Bond, in my opinion. Love that guy. I don't know that that's true. Because here's the thing about Tom Ellis. I love Tom Ellis as Lucifer Morningstar in the show Lucifer. I'll go one further. Right now, he is my favorite character on television. Tom Ellis as Lucifer Morningstar is my favorite character on television right now. That being said, I haven't seen Tom Ellis in anything else to know if he has the kind of range. I know he can play Lucifer great, but I don't have any sample size of him outside of that. I don't know if he has the type of range that he could actually play a good Bond. Just because he's got dark hair and has a British accent doesn't mean he's Bond. You know what I mean? So right now for me, even though I love Tom Ellis in that show, I just have far too small of a sample size to kind of say or guess whether I think he'd be good in another role or another type of character or play James Bond. I just don't know. I'm not saying he wouldn't. I'm just saying as much as I love the guy, I don't have a big enough sample size to say whether I think he'd be good in a role like that. I just don't know. But I do love the guy. All right. Evan Ryan writes, hey, John, over under 20% that we see Deadpool pop up in Doctor Strange. Under. Absolutely under. I'm not going to say zero. Again, we live in a world where Jamie Foxx is going to be playing Electro again. So I'm not going to say zero. Definitely not zero. But yeah, I really don't see them putting, I don't think Bob Iger will allow Deadpool to appear in MCU movies unless they're totally going to neuter Deadpool and no longer have him be an R-rated character. I just don't think he wants to cause that type of brand confusion. Like, here's Bob Iger's ultimate nightmare. Bob Iger has said this. Here's his ultimate nightmare, that he gets an angry mother call him and say, I took my kid to see this MCU movie and had Deadpool in it. Ooh. And then you had a Deadpool movie coming out and they're talking about pegging and they're talking about National Women's Day and they're talking about and they're dropping F-bombs and there's nudity and sex and blah, blah. What the F are you doing, Disney? That is Bob Iger's ultimate nightmare. Now, to some of you are going, wait a minute, I thought Bob Chapek was CEO. Yeah, Bob Chapek is the new CEO of Disney. Bob Iger is still his boss. Bob Iger is still the chairman of the board of Disney. So Bob Iger is still his boss. So anyway, but so impossible? Nope. Not impossible, but I'll take under 20%. I'll take the under on that. Man of Steel rules. It absolutely does. Writes, hey, John, I have a tech question. Ooh, I love tech questions. My son, who is 17, will be starting college credit classes in a few weeks, and I need to upgrade from his present Dell laptop, mostly graphics and statistics. Any recommendations for a Windows-based laptop? Thanks. Ooh, I love tech questions. Love them, love them, love them. All right. It all depends. Now, if your son is 17, I'm going to make some assumptions. All right. And my assumptions could be totally off. I'm going to make some assumptions. Number one, I'm going to assume your son probably likes video games. So there's that. I'm also going to assume like your son's laptop kind of becomes his main portal to the world. So there's two different routes you can go. All right. There's two different routes you can go. If you want to go very capable educational machine, that'll have a half decent little web camera in it, be able to do Zoom calls for classes, will handle all the programs, very solid, very reliable, but you want inexpensive. There is let me pull it up here. There's an Acer computer, the Acer 5. Hold a second. I think it's called the Acer 5. Hold a second. No, sorry. It is the Acer Aspire 5. Okay. ACER Aspire 5. Acer Aspire 5. I've watched a bunch of reviews and read over the specs of it. Is it a powerhouse computer? No, but it's a very capable computer for your son's school stuff. It should do everything he needs it to do, and it's under $500, right? That's a good one. However, if you want this machine to kind of be an all things for your son, do classes hardcore if there's hardcore graphics involved in doing what he's doing. But if your son's also creative and he wants to do some Photoshop or some video editing, or if he's a gamer and you want a laptop that will run all of the top, A+ games out there today, blah, 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 I will recommend to you the laptop that I am getting ready to buy. I want to buy it, but I just don't need it right now. But the moment I'm going to need it in the new year, the moment I need it, I'm buying this laptop. It is the Asus ZenBook Duo. Let me bring it up here because I want to bring up an image. The Asus, hold on a second. Clickety, 1 second. Okay, sorry. The Asus ZenBook Pro Duo. I'm sorry. The Asus ZenBook Pro Duo is the laptop. It's not cheap, but it's not as expensive as you might think either. Let me bring it up here. This thing is a thing of beauty. All right. It's got power. I mean, there's a lot of different options about which processor you want in there, how much RAM, how much hard drive space, which graphics card, all that kind of stuff. But it is a powerhouse of a machine. And for me, the ability, because I work at a desktop computer here, right? I work at a desktop computer here where I have surrounding me, like I have laptop, monitor, laptop, 32-inch monitor, 32-inch monitor, 27-inch monitor, and a monitor behind me. I have a setup for massive multitasking, right? Massive amount of multitasking. So looking at a laptop, you notice that there's two monitors on this laptop. There's the monitor, and then above the keyboard is another separate monitor. And I've watched tons of reviews on this thing about how useful that is. And for somebody like me, it might mean I could go on the road, bring this, and do a live show where I could have my switcher on one screen, my live chats on another screen while monitoring the stream on the second half of the other screen, and blah, blah, all from one laptop. It's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly versatile. It's way more than $500. Now you're getting in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. And if you really, really want to all out deck it out, you're probably even going north of, but you can get a solid, super powerful machine like this for between $2,000 to $3,000. And that's one you might want to look at. So again, there's the Acer Aspire 5 for the sub 500. And if you just like, hey, doesn't matter. The cost isn't the big issue here. I would highly recommend personally one I don't have myself yet, but that's the Asus ZenBook Pro Duo. It's one that completely has my attention, and I'm very, very excited about. Okay, anyway, thanks for that, Man of Steel Rules, and you tipped in $20. Thanks, man, for supporting the channel on that level, and hopefully you find that a little bit helpful. Let's see. Next up, we've got an anonymous viewer who writes, "Hey John, everybody's saying it's Amazon's The Boys, but no one is mentioning Sony as the studio behind it. Who really owns the show? Do you see it make it to the big screen one day?" No. Don't think we have seen any TV shows making it since the X-Files. Why is that? Because people are used to watching a TV show for free. Like, you can watch, I just watched 12 episodes. I watched 12 mini movies of The Boys this year on Amazon. Why would I go to the movie theater to watch like kind of 2 episodes put back to back in theaters? Why would I do that? That's the main reason that doesn't happen as much. Sony is the listed production studio, but so is Amazon Studios. And I think there's 1 or 2 other smaller production studios. It's a co-production show, and then Amazon is the lone distributor of that show. Because we're always telling you guys on the show, when it comes to the movies things, there's always 2 main companies with a movie: the production company and the distributor. Sometimes, like in the case of Disney films, they're one and the same. Disney has its own production studio arm, and it has its own distribution arm. Some other big studios do that as well. A lot of the movies, though, they have one production company and a different distribution company. And they're both very important. The distribution company is the company that decides where that movie goes. What happens to this movie? The production company makes the movie. The distributor decides what happens to the movie. That's an oversimplification, but it gives you a little bit of an idea. So Amazon is at the same time a co-producing company with Sony Television, and they make The Boys, as well as one or two other companies, and I can't remember who they are right now. And then Amazon is the lone distributor. So, yes, you are absolutely right to point out that Sony Television deserves some of the credit for how good The Boys is. We all just think of Amazon because they are one of the production studios, but they are also the exhibitor of the show. So we often just think about Amazon, and that's where we find it. But you are absolutely right. Sony Pictures absolutely deserves some of that credit. They absolutely do. All right, next up, an anonymous viewer also writes, might be a dumb question, but do you think people should feel guilty about using AMC/Regal gift cards, A-list, coupons, and whatnot, considering the theaters desperately need actual money? I'm a Regal Rewards member and spent $0 in concession tent. No, you shouldn't feel guilty at all, especially if you use a gift card. Because if you're using a gift card, that means the money was given. Like, look, if I show up to AMC theaters and I buy a box of M&Ms, I don't know, a little bag of M&Ms, and I hand them a $10 gift card, well, that just means that $10 was already given to AMC for this gift card, right? So it's not like the gift card just materialized out of thin air. It's like, woo, I have a $10 gift card. No, you paid $10, or somebody paid $10 to get that $10 gift card. And now you have it, and now you're just cashing in on it, but the money was given. So no, I don't think anybody should feel guilty about getting the value for the money they spent, regardless of what type of situation the movie theaters are in. If you spent $10 to get the card, you should get $10 worth of value. So no, I don't think anybody should feel guilty for that, Anonymous. All right, 50 Shades writes, if the 7 is the Boys Justice League payback, if the 7 is the Boys' Justice League, payback is the Avengers. If the 7 is the boy, okay, it's the Avengers. Yeah, we said that the other day. Soldier Boy is Captain America. Stormfront is Thor. Tech Knight is Iron Man. Crimson Countess is Scarlet Witch. Mind Droid is Vision. Eagle the Archer is Hawkeye. And Swatto, I got nothing. See, that's the thing. I was reading about Eagle the Archer, but didn't they recycle and reuse that character in a modern context? I don't know what they're going to do with that. But it is going to be interesting to see this payback team, the 7 before the 7, with Jensen Ackles in the role. I cannot wait. That's just going to be awesome. 50 Shades also writes, do you think we will see the full payback team in The Boys Season 3, maybe by the end of the season? I think we're going to see the full payback team in Episode 1 of Season 3, because we already know the name of Episode 1 of Season 3 is Payback. And that's the name of the team. So my guess, and again, this is just what I believe to be true, not what I know to be true. What I believe to be true here is that, yes, I believe Episode 1, we're going to see Payback. That's the name of the episode. So yeah, I would count on that for now. Again, there's just what I believe to be true, not what I know to be true. All right, Ryan Lohner writes, after starting Sons of Anarchy, I'm just now realizing what the fans went through when they watched Luke Cage. Wait, Juice is the smart one now? I know, it was really different. I can't remember the name of the actor, but watching the guy who played Juicy in Sons of Anarchy is now like this high-level, slick killer dude in Luke Cage. And it was a really cool juxtaposition to see him play such a different character than what I was used to saying. By the way, I thought he was really good. I'm not a big fan of the Luke Cage show. Like, I thought the first half of season 1 was great. The second half of season 1, after Cottonmouth wasn't there anymore, not so good. And then I thought season 2 really wasn't any good either. But Juicy in there, Juice, I like his character, and I liked his role in that. All right, next up, Eric tipped $5 writes, thanks to this pandemic, do you think we could see a comeback surge to drive-in theaters? No, I think, and that's unfortunate, but I think the drive-ins are going to get a lot of use right now, and they are. Drive-ins are getting a lot of use right now because there's no other option. If, and that's a huge if the movie theaters ever reopen wide, like it's just everything's back up and running again. Once that happens, unfortunately, for most people, the drive-in is not going to be the first choice. Like, listen, I've gone to the drive-in a couple of times in the past couple of months. and I enjoy it very, very much. But here's the reality. As an example, Ann and I went a number of weeks ago to go watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse at the drive-in, right? You guys know how much I love Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So we went to go watch that. And while I had a terrific time, Ann and I had a lot of fun. The reality is the image quality is not good. And the sound quality is not great. And it is, in almost every way, not every way, but almost every way, an inferior experience than watching it in a movie theater. Just is. And so, and not to mention, the amount of money you need to operate a drive-in theater, because you need the same amount of land to make a one-screen drive-in theater as you need to build a 24-screen multiplex theater. You need the same amount of property for one screen. No, we are never going to see a true resurgence of drive-ins again. And I think that's terrible. I think that's awful. But it is what it is, nonetheless, unfortunately. All right. Jinyu Hichi writes, pop quiz. What was directed by Martin Scorsese and starred both Michael Jackson and Wesley Snipes? Well, there's only one thing that Michael Jackson ever did with Martin Scorsese, if I'm not mistaken. I'm bad. Whenever I think of bad, all I think of is the Weird Al Yankovic fat video. Tell you once again who's fat. Anyway, yes, the bad video from Michael Jackson in the late 1980s, and Wesley Snipes. And Wesley Snipes once famously told the story about the way he got the role in that was that he knew Scorsese worked with De Niro a lot. So when he went into his audition, he tried to do Robert De Niro mannerisms, and he said that got him the job. Neat little Hollywood story there. Anyway, next up. Casey McNatt writes, hey, John, I feel that Sony isn't going to come out and confirm the Spidey rumors if they still want to hide the fact that they are happening. In my opinion, though they should be planning to make this its own movie instead of slopping it all into Spider-Man 3. Plus, isn't the script and story for Spidey 3 already written? I just feel if this is going to happen, make it its own movie, let the cliffhanger at the end of the second movie be solved, and then you can build up to it if you need it in an end credit. I don't buy into. Listen, I know it's really, really popular for everybody to think you got to build up to something. Something has to have a 5-movie build up. I don't believe that at all. I'm not in that camp. If you tell a really good story, you don't need 3 films to build up to it. I really don't believe it. Again, I often go back to like Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Guardians of the Galaxy did not need a standalone Peter Quill movie. They didn't need a standalone Gamora movie, and then a standalone Drax the Destroyer movie, and then a standalone Groot and Rocket movie, if you want to put them together. And then you built up, and then you do the Guardians of the Galaxy. No, they just came right out and did Guardians of the Galaxy. If you write the movie correctly, like Star Wars, you didn't need a standalone Obi-Wan Kenobi story. You didn't need a standalone Han Solo story. You didn't then need a standalone Princess Leia story, and then a standalone Luke Skywalker story, the young Luke Skywalker growing up on Tatooine, and then you build all that up, and then you make Star Wars. No, they just made Star Wars. If you do it right, you don't have to have 2 films build up. You don't need to do that. It's not necessary. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm not saying it can't be great to do it that way. I'm just saying you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to do it that way. One of the things that you said there, Casey, is right on point with what I said. The script for this movie is already written. And this script either has the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man in it, or it doesn't. It's not like they wrote the movie and go, oh, hey, I just had an idea. Let's see if Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire want to pop in on it. See if they're free. Maybe they had some time. Like, they didn't do that. Like, they've known for a year if this movie was going to have the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire characters in it. And I have my doubts that they are in it, but we live in the world where it's certainly possible. more than just possible, it's certainly plausible, right? It could very well be true. So, but you're right. The script, this has been in stone for a long time. It's either in stone that they are not in it, or it's in stone that they are. And it's been that way for a while. And they're just not letting us know either way right now. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. All right. Thanks for that, Casey. Appreciate that, man. All right. Boris writes, "Hey, John. I'm looking forward to watching Love and Monsters with Dylan O'Brien. I watched a trailer for that the other day. It's not bad. It's got I'll be honest with you. Love and Monsters, I'm just being honest, okay? The trailer very much looked like a ripoff of Zombieland. It really, really did. Where one character is, kind of, I can't remember the name of the actor who played Lex Luthor, freezing off the top of my head. And, you just saw the archetype characters in it, right? And it's Zombieland. Oh, wait, you can't go out there, blah, blah. It comes across the other, they form a little band. There we go. It just very much felt like a Zombieland ripoff. That said, it was still a pretty good trailer. It's still a pretty good trailer, and I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't interested in it, because I am. Anyway, with Dylan O'Brien, when I was younger, I watched Teen Wolf while it aired, and he brought a level of talent to a cheap supernatural MTV series that no one else did. I really enjoyed The Maze Runner. I like him in The Maze Runner too, as a matter of fact. At least the first one. I wasn't a fan of the other Maze Runner movies. Anyway, Boris, and was super impressed by what they pulled off with 30-something million. Don't be too impressed by what you see in a trailer. Right? Like, wait till you see the movie to say whether you're impressed with what they did with their budget or not. Anyway, I watched Jeremy John's review, and he mentions how we can pull off the comedy, action, emotional scenes, and also easily. You are just drawn in. I hope to see more from him. I've liked Dylan O'Brien for a while. I'm not his biggest fan. I don't think he's like a top 20 guy in the business right now, but I've liked him for a long time. And again, going back to the Maze Runner, I thought the first Maze Runner was really underrated. I think a lot of people didn't give Maze Runner a chance because many people like myself thought it just looked like a cheap little YA knockoff movie sort of thing, but I watched it and I was like, you know what? That's not bad. Like, I still remember, I think it was Harloff and I came out of watching it, and we were both kind of like surprised. Like, that was actually pretty good. And it was, and I enjoyed it. Again, Canada, Zevia, sponsor me, you sons of bitches. Again, I can't say that I thought it was great or that I liked the other ones. I didn't like the other ones. But Dylan O'Brien is definitely a guy to watch. And even though this trailer is kind of a blatant Zombieland ripoff, I still thought it looked pretty good. So I'm intrigued by it. All right, next up. Timothy writes, "Hey, John and Rob, if he's there, not here today. One of the most touching and heartfelt films I've seen lately is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Beautiful movie. Beautiful movie. Very artsy kind of movie. Basically, it's this lady of a certain level of life. It's like set in the 1800s or something like that. And she's engaged to be married. If I remember, his mother hires this other woman to be her painter, to do a portrait of her, and she spends time with her, and the woman and her painter, the two women fall in love, and it's got kind of a tragic end. Anyway, beautiful film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Anyway, most touching and heartfelt films I've seen lately is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I was wondering if you all have seen it as well, and if so, I'd love to hear your thought, or if you haven't, I highly recommend. Yeah, and I do recommend. Listen, straight up, like a lot of masterful movies, it's not for everybody. Like, hey, listen, I've got some friends that are just straight up, hey man, I like smash, bang, pow, kind of big action movies. That's what I enjoy watching. Fair enough. Fair enough. For my buddy, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, not a movie for them. But if you like brilliant storytelling and like human conditions, watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It's quite good. It's quite good. Again, it's not for everybody. If you're like, if it's not Avengers or DC, I don't like it. Well, then maybe it's not for you. But I'm telling you, it's a really, really good movie. Ethan Holgate writes, "Hey, John, I don't know if you heard the news. Actress Conchata Ferrell, yeah, the lady from 2.5 Men, passed away from a heart attack a couple of days ago. I'm a huge 2.5 Men fan. I've always loved her as Berta on that sitcom. She was hilarious. Did you like her in anything she was in?" I never watched 2.5 Men, right? Just to be straight, I've never watched 2.5 Men. Not a show that I watched or I was into or anything like that. So whatever. But She was also one of those actresses who was never a big name, but had the kind of career that 99.9% of actors would drool over. She constantly worked. Now, when I think of her, I mostly think of Erin Brockovich. To be straight, I mean, I love that movie, so my mind goes there a lot. But she just popped up in everything, and she was always great. She was one of those actresses that every casting director in Hollywood knew you could go to her for just about anything, and she would fit. Right? It was just one of those. But I never did get a chance to watch her in 2.5 Men. It was very, very sad to read that news. Thanks for bringing that up, Ethan. All right, Guillaume Lebel writes. Bonjour, Jean. Bonjour, Guillemot. Ça va? Watch Lord of War. Oh, I love that movie. Jared Leto's in that too with Nick. Anyway, I watched Lord of War with Nick Cage for the first time. Very underappreciated, in my opinion. Cage was great in it. Same for Handsome Hawk, Ethan Hawke, and Jared Leto. But I thought that the first act was a little too fast-paced for my own taste thoughts. There for years, I would talk about that film. That was a film nobody went to go see. Let me just bring this up here quick. Lord of War. You mean Warlord? No. Lord of War. Let me bring up, box office. Let me just get that. Yeah. Worldwide, Lord of War made $72 million on a $50 million budget. Not a hit film. Not a hit film at all. Let me see if I can bring up a poster of it here. Oh, I don't think I can get a poster of it up. Come on. No poster? Whatever, I can't find the poster. And I'll just bring it up here so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Lord of War is a great little movie about this guy who's international arms dealer. And it's so well done and so well acted. And Jared Leto is fabulous in the movie. I think this was like the last movie Jared Leto did for a long time and then kind of walked away from acting for a bit. I think that's when he really got his music career going. Anyway, I don't know the history of Jared Leto, but great movie. I enjoyed it a lot. If you guys have not seen Lord of War, take the recommendation. It's a really good little movie. Really, really good little movie. And unfortunately, I should say, like next to nobody went to go see it. All right. Let's see here. Next up, Wayne Edwards tips in $30. Thank you so much, Wayne, for supporting the channel on that level, man. I appreciate that. And Wayne writes, hey, John and Rob, did you see the Discovery Season 3 premiere? I have not watched it yet, but I'm so stoked to watch it. Anyway, I have to say I loved it. I am very curious about where this season is going. By the way, I am a 50-year-old lifelong Star Trek fan. This new era is not perfect, but it is very exciting to me. That's good to hear, man. Like, listen, Discovery is, I think it's fair to say, a very divisive show, right? There are a bunch of people like the great Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett who really hates it. Like, really, really hates it. And then you get people like me, a little more handsome, a little more savvy, a little more refined, I suppose. You get other idiots like me who totally love it. I love Discovery. I think the show's fantastic. And actually, you know, for like a full year leading up to Discovery launching, I was trashing on it for all the behind the scenes drama. I'm like, what's the point of this? And blah, blah, blah. And I trashed on the show. If you guys remember me from back in the AMC and Collider days, like for a year leading up to that show's release, I was trashing on it. Then it came out and I'm like, wow, like this is new and they tried something bold and different and I really liked it. And listen, the show has not been perfect, but I have found it, again, to use those same words, I've found the show to be very bold and exciting, and I really like the characters, and I'm all in on this show. Now, I haven't watched season 3 premiere yet. I know Rob did. No surprise, he didn't like it. But I haven't seen it yet. Maybe I won't like it either. But I've not watched it yet. I plan on doing that sometime either today or this weekend. I'm going to sit down and get in front of that and start watching the new season of that. So anyway, thanks for sharing your thoughts on that, Wayne. I'm glad you liked it. I can't wait to watch it myself. So thanks again, man, for supporting the channel, dude. All right, next up. Movie Nerdo from Poland writes, I love the name, writes, ahoy crew, new fan from the best stand of the best damn movie show on the planet since the summer. Oh, thanks a lot, man. It's good to have you here, my friend. Look forward to watching your channel every day after Whoopi Goldberg's The View. Do you know what royalties short film, AO, I'm not sure what AO means, documentary filmmakers get? Keep up the great work. Okay, so, I honestly, listen, I often will talk about this great film course I took. I took this one film course because Quentin Tarantino recommended it. It was the Dove S.S. Simmons 2-day film course. And I went to go take it. And it was funny, too, because the guy I ended up sitting beside, so I actually hung out for the weekend with, hold on a second, My Big Fat Greek Wedding... IMDb. So I actually ended up sitting with and hanging out for the weekend with, where is the guy? I think it's Michael Constantine. I think, yes. So for the guy from My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Michael Constantine, here he is here. Remember, he was the dad in My Big Fat Greek Wedding? Anyway, I ended up going to take this film course, this 2-day exhaustive film course, because Quentin Tarantino recommended it. So I went to go take it. And I actually ended up day one sitting beside Michael. And he is, can I just tell you, he's just so fun and funny. And I think at the time he was in his mid 60s, maybe even early 70s. And during the break on one of the days, he and I went to lunch. And I asked him straight up, I said, hey, so what, I mean, you're an actor, you're in some hit stuff and blah, blah. What are you doing here? And he said, I just love movies. I love film and I want to learn about doing this sort of stuff too, because I want to produce. And it was really cool. Anyway, very fun, great, wonderful guy. I remember more about being able to sit with him than most of. But one of the things that Dove S.S. Simmons said in this film thing was, he mentioned short film. And he's like, just so you know, there is no money in short films. Not that short films don't have value, but just be prepared that there's not really money in short film, right? People don't pay to watch short films. Short films are incredibly good things to do. Short films can be amazing. There's a reason why there's an Academy category for it, but you don't really make money on short films. There's exceptions. There are exceptions, but there's not a lot of money to be made in short films. Now, hopefully short films can also lead to bigger opportunities. That's the whole thing, right? Because you remember like Lights Out. Dude made a little short film on YouTube. By the way, Lights Out is one of the best horror short films ever. I might say it is the best horror short film I've ever seen. But anyway, he makes this short, like 3 or 4 minute short film called Lights Out on YouTube. It got him a feature film deal. He got to go and then the studio paid him to go and make a full length feature film version of it. And it was awesome, by the way. And his career is now taken off. So there's a lot of value to it. With documentaries, again, not a ton of money to be made in documentaries. But every project and film, and I know this is kind of a wash answer, but honestly, every project in Hollywood is different. How much do you make on a documentary? Well, Michael Moore can make $5 million on a documentary, and tons of other people can make absolutely nothing on a documentary. I mean, so it really depends from deal to deal, distributor to distributor. It's all unique and different. I mean, I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but just know there's not a lot of money to be made in documentary filmmaking. There's not a lot of money. It's not that you can't make a living from it. It's not that you can't make any money from it. Hell, I am getting ready to release a documentary of my own. I hope to make a little bit of money on it. I do. But you also just gotta know there's not a lot of money in documentary filmmaking. Just so you know, like not compared to like other genres. So there's that. All right, next up. Let's see here. You, me, us writes, I watched The Haunting of Bly Manor expecting a ghost story. I got a gothic love story with ghosts, and it was perfectly splendid. Not nearly as scary as Hill House, but a more emotional story. I was sobbing mess during the season finale. Here's the thing. I know we're going to be watching that soon because Anne loved The Haunting of Hill House. She loved it. And so I think her and Corey have just been waiting to line up their schedules so they can watch Bly Manor together, and that's probably when I'll watch it as well. And I never watched Hill House. I mean, I watched a couple of episodes, but I never really got through the whole thing. But a lot of people I know absolutely love it. I'm hearing some good things about Bly House. We're going to be watching it here in my house pretty soon. I'll let you know what I think of it, you, me, and us, once I get a chance to see it as well. So thanks for sharing your experience with it. I appreciate that. All right. Justin, Time to Chat writes, Hey, John and Rob, I recently bought a new Android TV so I could watch HBO Max. Love it. I unfortunately didn't like Raised by Wolves. However, Doom Patrol is one of my all-time favorite shows now. The character arcs and wackiness of it all is perfect. Justin, your experience is very, very close to my own. One of the things that I love about, and I still have it here, I have to ship this thing out. I got one of these. This is an extra one that I have. Come on, get into focus there. There it is. I have this one, but I've got this hooked up to my main TV downstairs, and I love it. It's absolutely great. And my experiences with both Doom Patrol and Raised by Wolves is the same as yours. I liked Raised by Wolves for the most part. The last 2 episodes started to lose me, but it was the final episode that really lost me. Because I felt like, okay, this is interesting, right? As I'm watching Raised by Wolves, this is interesting. I didn't love it, but I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. I'm interested. But the last couple of episodes, particularly the season finale, left me so frustrated that I tapped out. I tapped out of it. I'd have no plans on watching season 2. Look, not every show has to be like The Boys or has to be like Supernatural, where you have your main storyline for the season. When you get to the end of the season, you bring that storyline to a close, you answer all the questions, or most of them, and then you open the door for next season, right? You don't always have to do that, but Raised by Wolves to me was a very frustrating watching experience because the whole show is just raising questions. Okay, interesting. There's no payoff. Like when the credits rolled on the on the season finale of Raised by Wolves, I was very frustrated because it's like, okay, so you literally answered none of the questions. And so you've got to give the audience little hits of satisfaction. It's like one of the principles in video games. Like every once in a while in video games, you have to give rewards. You have to give accomplishments. You have to give these little things because it keeps the player going, right? Especially with pay-to-play games, like mobile games and whatever. You got to give these little accomplishments and rewards and plateaus and goals you get to hit because that motivates you to keep going. In television, you've got to give the audience those little rewards as well. It's like, hey, you watch these 6 episodes? Here's your reward, man. We're going to reveal what this, and this was all about. And then we'll move on to the next episode. And by the time we got to the end of season 1 of Raised by Wolves, it was just, there was nothing. There was no payoff. It was just all new questions without actually answering all the other questions that had been raised already. And it was very frustrating for me. Sons of Anarchy. I was going to say, Doom Patrol though, brilliant. I was hooked on that show from episode 1 all the way through to the end of season 2. I love that show. It's fantastic. I'm glad you got on board with it, Justin. All right. Jesse Keller writes, Hey, John. Spidey 3 is now filming in Queens, New York. That's not confirmed, by the way. The working title is Serenity Now, keeping in line with the Seinfeld name for the working titles like the other 2 Sony Marvel films. Not going to say who/what I say from afar, but I can't wait for it. Here's the thing. So somebody put on Reddit a picture of a street notice plastered on a light post of, a filming notice, blah, blah, Project Serenity Now. Now, there have been some rumors that Serenity Now is the working title of Spider-Man 3. But that's never, I don't believe that's ever been 100% confirmed. And a working title, multiple projects can have the same working titles. I'm not saying they're not working on it, but I am saying too many people are assuming that that's the case right now when I don't know for sure that it is. But it could be, might be, who knows? We'll wait and see. All right, next up, an anonymous viewer writes, "Hey, John, I love your show and I listen every day at work." Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Anyway, just wanted to tell you, my mom and I bought a case of Zevia and we love it. I wouldn't have ever done this if you didn't give them so much free promo. Petition them to sponsor you. Again, Zevia, whatever, cola. Sponsor me, you sons of bitches. I tell you what, I have sold more Zevia cola than anything else Zevia has done. Like nothing Zevia cola has ever done has raised awareness for their product more than me. I find it insulting that they have not sponsored my show. But then again, they probably know this stupid jackass is promoting us for free. Why should we give him anything? Yeah, I get it. Why buy the cow when you get the milk for free, I suppose. Anyway, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Anonymous. All right. Shadow Jester writes, "Hey, John, I'm also excited for Love and Thunder, but I'm just a little disappointed in the title. I was really hoping / petitioning for it to be called For? What a missed opportunity. Bring on the safe. For, get it? Get it? Because it's the fourth Thor movie? For. You know, Shadow Jester, I'm going to tell you, when I first read that in my mind, I'm thinking, oh God, that's so stupid. But you know, I got to hand it to you. That's pretty clever. I got to hand it to you. That's pretty clever. For. I get it. It's well done. All right. Lavis Blackman writes, "With all the Spider-Verse, Electro, multiverse news coming out lately, do you think it is possible that all of that will actually impact Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness or stay more in the Sonyverse movies?" Well, no, remember, Spider-Man 3 is an MCU movie. It's a Sony character and they greenlight everything, yes, but Electro showing up in Spider-Man 3 is in the MCU. It's not in the Sony Spider-Verse. Technically speaking right now, the Sony Spider-Verse and the MCU are separate, right? There's Venom over here, and then there's the MCU over here. They could very well be merging that. We talked about that a little bit earlier. But Electro coming into Spider-Man 3, that's an MCU movie, right? So most things in the MCU tend to have an impact, however small, but tend to have an impact on the rest of the MCU movies to come. So yeah, Lavis, I think there is very much a chance that the events of Spider-Man 3 will have an impact on whatever the events of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is, either in a big or a small way, but somehow, some way, I do think there's going to be some kind of an impact there. All right, Jesse writes, what does Jesse write? Jesse writes, "I feel the worst mistake Marvel TV ever made was killing Cottonmouth halfway through season 1 of Luke Cage in order to job to a different character. He was so charismatic and interesting, and they swapped him for a villain whose name I can't even remember." Yeah, the guy who had the, the hammer technology? Anyway, but that was the story, right? Like, remember, they scripted it out before they ever started shooting it. And honestly, I don't know that keeping Cottonmouth around would have made the second half of the season any better. Like you, I suspect it would have, but it does bear mentioning that, to me, that's when the show took a downturn. After Cottonmouth exited the show, that's when the show became less enjoyable to me. Not necessarily because Cottonmouth wasn't there, but I just felt the whole tone of the show and the direction of the show kind of shifted after that. So I don't know. I mean, they could have made second half of season 1 with Cottonmouth and maybe it would have been worse. But I will tell you that the half season that Cottonmouth was in Luke Cage was the only time I really enjoyed Luke Cage. I was really on board that first half of season 1, really on board. And then he wasn't there. All right, next up. MD, and this is our final question of the day, guys. MD writes, I often fall behind on TV shows because I hate getting into them and investing in characters just for them to cancel after one season. So I've only just completed Umbrella Academy and The Boys. Loved both. Number 5 might be my character. Number 5 is great. 5 is great. And I'm telling you, that kid, I never even think twice about it. That is a 70-year-old man in a 14-year-old's body, or 15-year-old's body, or 60, whatever, however old 5's supposed to be. Yeah, I just believe it. He convinces me he is a 60 or 70-year-old man in the body of a 14 or 15-year-old. Completely convinces me of it. I never even think twice about it. It's fantastic. The character is wonderful. But I totally know what you're talking about. Because it is, I do hesitate a little bit getting into a show in its first season. And the last time I got really burned by that, and guys, help me out in the live chat, because I keep forgetting the name of the show for whatever reason. But the guy who played Draco Malfoy's dad, and he also played the captain in season 1 of Discovery, he had this show. I can't remember if it was called Awake. Guys in the live chat, help me out with this. Jason Isaacs is the name of the actor, but the name of the show where he plays a cop where he gets in a car accident with his wife and son, and his wife died, but his son lived. And then the next day, he wakes up, but he's in a different reality where his son died and his wife was alive. He's like, what the heck? And then when he goes to sleep, he wakes up the next day in the other reality where his wife is dead, but his son's alive. And it just keeps rotating back and forth between these two different realities. And you guys saying it is called Awake. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, guys. Ford, Healy, Kip, Jam. Thank you all you guys for putting that in there. So the show is called Awake. And I thought it was wonderful. It's a great season of television. And then they're getting to the end. They get to the season finale. And he's getting close to discovering what is causing this me jumping back and forth between these two different realities, setting up season 2. Like, it solves a lot of crimes, and he does a lot of things throughout the show. A lot of things, set up story, dun, 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 dun. But then it gets to the big one, the big one, which is, why is this happening to him? And they start to hint at what it is, and he's about to discover what it is, and it's the cliffhanger to go into season 2, and then the show got canceled. Very frustrating. Very frustrating as somebody watching television. And so I get it. I'm a little bit apprehensive about watching. I mean, I still do, but there is some apprehension I have about watching the first season of something. I kind of wait till it's done, hear what people thought about it, hear that it gets green light, and then maybe I'm a little bit more invested in getting on it. But yeah, a little bit of that apprehension. I can see where you're coming from, MD. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for being here and making this show a part of your day. Special thank you to all you guys who sent in the live questions for 2 reasons. Number 1, you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel while you did it. And all of us here involved in the John Campea YouTube show, thank you guys very, very much for that. By the way, want to let you guys know about something. A little bit later today, my little film, let's see if I can bring it up here. My little movie that I've currently made is called Movie Trailers, A Love Story. It is right now playing as a part of NBC Universal's Portland Film Festival. And tonight, I believe it's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you go and find, I should have links here for you, but I don't. I apologize. If you go and find the Portland Film Festival YouTube channel, as well as if you're a Comcast subscriber, it'll also be broadcast on Comcast. A little bit later tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to be taking part in a director's Q&A where they just, talk to the directors of some movies. It's going to be a short thing, but it should be a lot of fun. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, go and find that YouTube channel and tune in around 7 o'clock, I believe. I think that's what they told me is happening. So a little bit of information there for you. Anyway, guys, please make sure you guys do the 4 main things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and please take care of the people around you. That would be awesome. Guys, congratulations on making it through to the end of another week. May you have a fabulous weekend planned ahead for yourselves. I know I do. I hope you do as well. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.